Alright, well you should be in game with me now. The map is Colony Firma, Summer Edition. We have G.Dot playing as the USF, the first of the USF we're going to see today. And of course, on the other side we have Sotjdador. I'm going to have trouble pronouncing that, I think, if I'm honest.
Sotjdador.
Sotjdador. We're going to have Sotjdador playing as the Austere. From the left side. Some people call it the north side if you're the kind of person that plays the game with your camera orientation like this. But of course, please just get too used to it because we use the standard panning for tournaments, and we're going to call it east and west.
I lose.
So interesting. Oh, sorry, Karen.
I lose any sense of direction if I rotate the camera, or if I see a stream where the camera's rotated. I'm like, "Whoa, what map is this? This looks like an awesome map." And then I realize, oh wait, it's Colony Firma. Whoops. I always get very disoriented. So G.Dot, he's going to be the US, as you said. He's got his tactical support, armor company, and infantry company. So no Pershing. That's surprising. Pershing is one of the most popular commanders, the heavy cavalry company, able to really have that late game heavy vehicle, which allows you a bit of safety net for late game. But at the same time, the LMGs are just so potent that they're a safe choice in terms of having, I would say, the best scaling infantry in the game. Double M19 rifleman.
Yeah, I do feel that as well. The nice thing about them is it's a doctrine unlock, so you know you're not spending any of the fuel. You're still able to do all of your light vehicle rushes on good timings, and still have this really potent infantry to play with. On the point you mentioned about the Pershing, I think something that maybe you know, a contributor to that is that a lot of people are using the Pershing, and I think a lot of people are so used to playing against it now that it's almost kind of not always a sensible decision to use it in a tournament. You know, maybe you want to throw in a wild card, because I bet the Austere players have been dealing with the Pershing commander routinely for the last, you know, at least a month. So it may be that he just doesn't own the commander. We have no idea on this, but
that rifleman was,
again,
was
you know,
brutal. See that he was so close to getting in the house, and the Pioneers' minimum range forced him off. And that thing as well is it's a very punishing opener there for G.Dot, because his squad's very low. It's going to be about half health when it's reinforced up, and that rifle squad's going to be having a hard time getting a good engagement against the Grenadiers. So we see the mortar coming out from G.Dot, probably going for the captain after that. Grenadiers, they're in a great spot behind this lorry. Going to be trading against the rifleman here. Could go either way depending on the RNG. Should be a pretty similar trade in that distance.
So first model wipe goes down to Grenadiers. I always find these engagements really interesting to watch. You know, 5-man squad versus the 4, both medium distance, green cover, and you know, it's actually nice to see that Austere is actually really sticking it to those infantry. But of course, the mortar lends in itself now as well, and that's going to turn the tide of that engagement.
I really like this play here from Sotjdador because he didn't send the Grenadier squads in to decap the point. If he did that, the rifleman would have just charged up and forced the Grens away. What he did is he kept the Grens behind cover in a really great spot, and then the Pioneers went for the decap. He also put a wire behind the stone wall, so it's going to be a little bit harder for G.Dot to use that against him. Grenadiers pushing up now as well, going to be forcing away the mortar. So I think this is a very good opener thus far from Sotjdador. Forces away the echelon as well. He's going to have a great map control.
Yeah, I mean, as far as opening rounds go for USF, it's very good. I've always said the main thing on this map is that Austere, or just Axis, manages to kind of claim its fuel securely, and that's exactly what he's done. Whilst he's been playing kind of skirmishes on the south side of the map, you know, he's managed to get an MG in this absolutely pivotal building into holding right up here, and now he's doing the capping of the VP and the munitions. So he's going to have a solid entrance into the mid game, and at the same time, you know, we're still seeing these Grenadiers kind of just pestering G.Dot constantly, giving him other things to focus on rather than you know, putting the pressure on some quite important positions on the map. So yeah, as you've already said, very good start game from Austere. I'd like to watch their teching actually to see what he's doing. Battle phase 1 is just being, when I use the word escalated, we're escalating the battle phase 1. We'll just say research to battle phase 1, I think, for the moment. But we also have the return Austere mortar as well. Pretty even balance of army composition.
Got to be careful of the mortar, really, of both of these players, because the squads are quite low. until they get medics out, these squads are very vulnerable to getting wiped by the mortars. We have the ambo coming out from G.Dot, so he goes for the ambo before he goes for the vehicle, for the steward in this case, because he has a captain. And it's rare you see that, because rushing the light vehicles is so important, but when your squads are this low, especially when you know your opponent has a mortar, I think it's a really great choice. Unfortunately, though, G.Dot doesn't get the swag points for using the supervise. I'm a big fan of that ability. It's great. So we have the Battle Phase 1 completed, and the Tier 2 barracks as well, the Lichter Mechanized Company here. I would expect to see a 2-2-2, but it could also be a pack wanting to have that out ASAP. Even P-Grens, there's only 3 Grenadiers here, not the 4 Grenadier core that you often see, so having a 4 squad P-Gren would give him good late game scaling.
Just having a look a second ago at the Warpaint skins. There we saw the Tiger Shark skin that was made by Solstice. That's my favorite skin, I have to say. It just looks so good on all of the units. And it's nice actually that, as we spoke about before, a lot of the players are actually using these skins in-game today, so you can see exactly how they look. And nice, of course, that they are, showing that they are supporting the tournament as well.
Wow, fourth... Oh, no, okay. So G.Dot was actually building a 4th Rifleman squad, and then he cancelled that. So probably will be going for a Stewart now. He's on his way to getting his LMGs. Getting a 4th Rifleman would be nice to get more LMGs out, but he already has a captain. It'd be probably a bit too many squads this early on.
I think the USF mortar then just accidentally got a friendly shot on the church. Did a little bit of damage to that rifleman when the shot landed, so he may have actually got a little bit of friendly fire on that unit there. Nice building take by these echelons, going to prevent Sotjdador from getting into that building to hold USF off further. G.Dot looks like he's struggling a little bit for things to do. We're going to see a scout car come out before any light vehicles from the USF, which is, I would want to say, not entirely usual by any means.
Because the
again,
ambo was
decapping. Yeah, again, the 10 fuel from the ambulance, and also just because of the map control that has been denied as well. This denial of the fuel points and stuff is just really, really good, and the map awareness from Sotjdador, really top notch.
So we have the medic bunker here for Sotjdador. Has the patented despot behind the HQ placement. So there's been a bit of a controversy lately in terms of, is it worth putting the med bunker behind the HQ or in front of it? It seems the general consensus is behind, though some people disagree with that. The church is getting very low here. There was 2 mortars firing at it for quite some time. Sotjdador retreats his MG out before it goes down, so very good timing there. 1 or 2 more shells probably would have destroyed that church.
I think it's nice to keep it low because obviously destroying the church has its own benefits, but it's nice, if you kind of let your opponent forget about it, maybe a bit later on in the game he'll, put a squad in there and you can very, very quickly get rid of that squad.
Well, I'd see that misplay there from Sotjdador. He actually went to flank the captain, and in doing so, he stepped out of the capping circle, which meant G.Dot neutralized it. So that isn't the best, because munition's very important here for the LMGs on these Grenadiers, which there isn't any, unless one of them's upgrading now. No, there's the early Flamer, and yeah, that's it so far. Stewart's being built up now, as well as an M1 AT gun. So this 222 is going to have a hard time staying alive, especially with a captain that has the bazooka as well. And the weapon racks are completed. Or is that the tier 3?
Yeah, I mean, in return of that as well, there's 80 coming up from Sotjdador. 2 mortar gets incredible wipe on the rifleman squad there, just as they'd hit the retreat button. Beautiful plays there. We see mortar on its first 3 kills, an entire squad wipe in that shot there. Absolutely beautiful, and that's exactly the kind of thing we want to see in wearing down the USF after what was a pretty good push so far by G.Dot.
So it wasn't weapon racks, it was just the unlock of the M19s.
Of the M19s, yeah. 3 CP was hit there. Here we go. Are we going to see the rifle nade to clear this building from Sotjdador? Doesn't look like he needs it at the moment. Mortar's still doing some incredible work. G.Dot, you can see the Stewart racing up to this side of the map, probably trying to get its advantage over the scout car, but the AT gun is lining up ready for the position. LMGs are now upgraded onto the Grenadiers, making it very, very difficult for USF to go anywhere. Nice support as well from the MG42.
The Gren's
really
up
pushing
north.
Away the infantry.
Gren's are retreating through the Stewart. Looks like he should be fine for now. It's a little bit late retreat, though. The Stuart not committing to the chase there. M1 AT gun's getting quite low, but the formation of the hedge and the fence may save him. Echelon now going to be retreating through the Grens and the Pyres, not stopping to fire the Flamer off.
I'm actually surprised by that decision. He had the Flamer Engineers and the Grenadiers right next to the AT gun for the USF. And his decision was actually to kind of go back and try and take down the Echelon squad whilst they were on the retreat through center. And I kind of understand because they do run through a little bit of negative cover. They were on low health, probably could have got away with the squad wipe, but at the same time, he actually allowed the USF AT gun to roll back to base. And I think he was well within his capabilities of nullifying that.
Definitely.
Once again, he's gone for the cutoff point here, but he's outside of the capping circle. So a wasted time here. He could have been getting a pretty decent territorial cutoff. He's now wasted that opportunity. It looks like the M19s will wear that squad down, and he knows it, hits the retreat button already.
It's just a classic case. Oh, hang on, look at that Stuart. Could go down. Oh, the AP ammo from the MG took the Stuart down. Low enough that the pack may have killed it if that second shot came through. But the Stuart does survive for now, especially before what you were saying about the M1, because of where the pack was from Sotjdador, it meant that if the M1 was decrewed, the pack could have destroyed the weapon and denied that one being recaptured. That would have been a massive swing there in Sotjdador's favor. This is where the game gets a little bit tricky now for G.Dot, because there's going to be the M1919s, a very massive power spike for these riflemen. There's a Stuart as well in the M1, so until Sotjdador gets a P4 out, he's going to struggle trading against these LMGs.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, by the way, I realise, you know, we've actually been talking a lot about how kind of aggressive Sotjdador is, or, you know, he is really, really kind of using his units all over the map. And this is one thing we didn't mention earlier, actually, about seeing a lack of Pershing. I mean, mines for USF are kind of locked down into this commander. And because his opponent, you know, because there's no Pershing commander present, even potentially available to be selected, you know, he knows that he's so safe to go around running and doing this kind of thing. So, you know, it's one of those things with commanders. I always think like the Pershing, it's so good to have it there, even if you don't use it, even if you don't like it, because it kind of makes your opponent think, like, until they definitely know what you've picked, that there may be mines on the field. But Sotjdador knows there's absolutely nothing that could go wrong here by him doing that. So, you know, he's just flying around the map. The decaps are great. And not often, I would say, you see USF falling behind on VPs in the early game.
Yeah, great play so far. And G.Dot actually goes for a pack howitzer. So this is interesting, because the pack howitzer is, wow, this Echelon in the middle gets hit by a mortar, they retreat now. The pack howitzer, it's generally regarded as being a bit inferior to the US mortar. It has advantages, it has more range, it has more AoE, but the scatter is just so high. It's a very inconsistent unit. But one of the main uses of the pack howitzer compared to the US mortar is you can use it to barrage your opponent's mortar. Especially if in the case of Sotjdador, where it's a Vet 2 mortar. You can't rely on winning that mortar trade because you're behind in Vet. So having the pack howitzer, maybe he's going to use it to try and barrage away the Wehrmacht mortar.
See on that one, because I don't even know where the shot's going. Looks like it was trying to target those Grenadiers that were sitting there previously. A little Faust on the Stuart there, nothing serious, but again, those Fausts do a really good job of keeping the Stuart off the field for a little while, and just allowing Oster that extra bits of time to kind of develop into that late game faction where they become really quite strong. Again, the build isn't really anything that surprises me at this point. The build's fairly standard. I think he's using it very, very well. We see Panzer Grenadiers are now trying to lock the VP down on the south, and again, because there's no Persian commander, he knows that there's no kind of mines really there that are going to be doing any serious damage to him, so he's just gone straight in with that. I think the only thing maybe I didn't see actually what the other commander was is if he had the assault engineers to use for demos, but
so we actually had the Wehrmacht mortar. The Wehrmacht mortar was forced away there. Sotjdador was he got hit by one of those barrages from the pack howitzer. He took it down to 3 models in about half health, so he had to retreat there. So pretty much on point with that. Now the mortar is off the field. Will give a little bit more breathing room to these rifleman squads. And so I think we'll just see him use that. Have the mortar playing more for the Grenadier squads, while the pack howitzer is kind of forcing away the mortar, which is very important too, because at Vet 2, I mean, the mortar gets even more powerful, that your riflemen can get wiped if they get clumped up. Especially when you're using LMGs, it means that you're going to be very stationary. You're going to be moving around a lot, so you're more vulnerable to those mortar hits and the pack howitzer hits.
Here we're seeing G.Dot seems to be gearing up to go through the middle quite heavy, and Sotjdador trying to prepare himself against it. Scout car lending itself to the north side of the map to try and defend against the rear echelons that are capping. We've got some bunched up grenadiers in the center. We could be seeing some serious hits from the howitzer here if he doesn't move. It's right on target too. Doesn't get any model wipes. That was very, very lucky there that none of those models got wiped. That's usually something that results in squad wipes, isn't it?
That was the pack howitzer too, so that has a lot better AoE than the mortar, so very lucky there. I think that was a big mistake, because there's not only the mortar and also the pack howitzer, keeping units stationary like that in the middle of the map, when he knows the pack howitzer was there. It was revealed when it was firing on the mortar, and I think a squad of something earlier after the mortar it was firing on. So he forces them away. It's going to take him a long time to heal those squads up. Meanwhile, he has enough fuel for a Panzer IV and the manpower as well. So he hasn't had to lock in the mobile defense. So he's on his way to getting either the Tiger or the Tiger Ace, either of which would be an excellent choice here. Especially with no Pershing, all that G.Dot will have access to as a call-in is the Calliope. And this is a really bad map for Jacksons. There's so many shot blockers, there's not really many opportunities for the Jackson to actually fire at max range. He gets caught pathing on things really easily. So this is a really hard map for US to deal with a Tiger. Or really
cut you short for 1 second because the scout car just takes an anti-tank nade there. G.Dot pushing hard through the center at this point. It looks like the Stuart's going to try and come in here to deal some damage. I don't know if he knows the position of the AT gun. There is also a Talamine that's very, very close to where that Stuart is. He's just going to drive over it, I think, if he goes any further forward. Just detects it with the echelon minesweepers there, so very, very lucky. And he decides not to go for the push on the scout car, but a beautiful little mid-game play there.
Great placement too. It's a very common rotation spot for vehicles that path around the corner. But yeah, the Stuart survives. That could have been disastrous. If that Stuart went down, as the P4 is now showing up, the pack gets hit by the pack howitzer. Oh, and it gets decrewed by the rifleman. Won't get stealed though, as the Panzer IV is already in position to maybe even chase down his rifles. Doesn't have the pintle just yet, but still could get it with the main gun. Oh no, doesn't go for it.
Very, very tense. I mean, I honestly thought that G.Dot looked like he was going to be reclaiming a lot of the map there collectively, but I mean, what's happened is, of course, Sotjdador has climbed ahead in tech and is now utilizing that immediately in the use of the Panzer IV. It comes rearing down from the north side of the map there, trying to get rid of this pack howitzer.
One of the weaknesses...
No threat of a snare yet either, so he's pretty safe at this point.
It's one of the big weaknesses of the pack howitzer is the inability to recrew, combined with the 6-man squad, how expensive it is to reinforce. Getting caught out of position is really punishing for the pack howitzer compared to all the other types of the indirect fire. It does survive for now though, has its Vet 1 as well. And we have the elite troops locked in as the stun grenade was revealed, so I think that Tiger Ace is pretty sensible. It's going to give him the best late game, because he can have that Tiger Ace, which will just murder any Jacksons. There is already 2 AT guns, though, so G.Dot has a fair bit of AT. I think this is really smart. He knows he doesn't have any good late-game anti-tank, so having the double M1 AT guns... He only has 1 bazooka on his captain. Getting a second one might be a good choice there as well. And then if he just plays a very defensive playstyle, try and get some wipes with the Calliope and just play the VPs, which is currently very far behind in 268 against the 490 of Sotjdador.
He is, yeah. Scout car goes down to the AT gun in the middle there. I'm a little worried, actually, about where G.Dot can go from here. It kind of looked to me like he may have been saving up for the Calliopes as kind of like a shock, a shock call-in. But at this point, I think he's left himself without his tier. Yeah, he hasn't got the major tier, so he really has no counter other than kind of infantry and AT guns that are on the field at the moment. Maybe... I don't know how he's going to get out of this otherwise. Will the Calliope be good enough to, actually do enough damage to Sotjdador's infantry and leaving it to the AT guns? I don't know. He may be able to get a good playoff here, though. Ooh. AT guns, look at the range on that. That was so close. Stuart's now going in through the center. Is he actually going to try this?
This is probably a bad idea. Do not recommend.
I'd say this is a very bad idea.
There's going to be 2 Grens there for some fouls. Are they within range, though? No, doesn't quite get the fouls off. That was really clever, though, that he sent the Stewart in, because the Stewart gave vision for the AT guns. Without the Stewart there, the M1s wouldn't have fired their second volley off, and almost gets the P4 as a result. It's going to be a second P4 built by Sotjdador. A great choice with the Tiger Ace. Very far off. Could probably get even a third Panzer IV at this rate. The pack is still on the ground, though. He hasn't recrewed that. He doesn't need the pack, but giving that to G.Dot would be a massive blow. Yeah, that would be...
It would be a bit of a tricky one for him, but of course, I don't know if you noticed as well, as Stug was in the lineup as his next build order, that's actually going to be a Panzer IV. So he's going to go double Panzer IVs. I think maybe he's recognized that Tier 4 isn't coming from his opponent yet, and wants to maybe specialize in 2 Panzer IVs because of the anti-infantry capability. It's obviously much better than what the Stug would bring.
The MG
so I
goes
think
down.
It's a sensible decision.
That was a nice bundle grenade, and Pioneers are there for the Flamer as well. Let's see if the MG can get recaptured here by the Grenadiers. The P-Gren's up close, doing pretty good. And we have nades from G.Dot, so it forces the retreat, and the MG was recaptured. So very important play there by Sotjdador. I think he's trying to nade the MG, but it was suppressed, so he won't be able to get the nade off. Oh, no, he does. He doesn't actually retreat the MG. Should be fine. They're not very well clumped up.
Oh!
Oh! The Pios! Oh, that was
yeah.
pretty much minimum range to the pack howitzer. Not very much scatter the closer you are. Loses his Pyros, which were, I believe, Vet 2 with a Flamer, which is then extra repair speed.
One of those guys got it a lot worse than everybody else, and then to add to that, he also got run over by the Stewart just then. Very unfortunate, but anyway, let's keep back on it. Not sure what the captain's doing up here. It does have Vet 3 now, which makes the captain a very good capping unit because of the speed boost that it gets with this veterancy. So that's going to be running all over the field now. It's coupled up with bazookas, so shouldn't have any problems facing any light vehicles that Sotjdador may bring in later into the game. Calliope has now hit the field, and just check out the Calliope with this tiger skin. Oh, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean? Tiger skin, I think is what I'm trying to say. But again, one of the Warpaint winners, Solstice, who made this. I just think it looks so great on the heavy tanks and the Call-ins. You know, actually on the Pershing is one of the best because it sits on the turret of the tank, and it just looks like this, you know, this smiling face before you get blown apart by projectiles. It's so nice. And I was saying this earlier, they really do. They're just reminiscent of this 90s cartoon, these rollerblading sharks. We did find it the other day. I need to remember what the name is. Anyway, I won't waste any more time talking about it. Composition-wise, at the moment, it actually looks like G.Dot has a lot more on the field, but I would say maybe he is actually at a disadvantage in terms of tech right now. Only 4 CPs left until we get to the Tiger Ace, and I don't think that Sotjdador is going to have that much problems on 80 pop cap at this point, actually saving up for that. I think that's going to be quite easy for him to climb to, provided that no big problems happen in the next kind of 5 minutes of game. We'll see though. As I say that, looks like almost a Grenadier was about to go down, but the stun grenade comes off very quickly. Very nice play there.
So Sotjdador just has to not blob here. His only threat really is losing a bunch of these squads to the Calliope. Other than that, the P4s should be doing too much manpower bleed and VP denies. And the manpower bleed is very important here, because G.Dot has a lot of fuel banked up, and if he's able to keep getting more and more manpower without having to reinforce his squads. Calliope does fire on the middle church though, almost gets the mortar, but no kills just yet, or no wipes at least. One model went down. So maybe we'll see a Jackson come out if G.Dot can avoid manpower bleed, but I don't think so. These P4s are definitely getting some work done, and it's limiting G.Dot's teching options.
Looks like we've got Panzer IVs, by the way, coming in from the north side of the map. They're going to be engaging the Stewart first. I don't think G.Dot really has that much to defend against this right now. If they target the AT guns, there could be serious problems here. Panzer IVs rolling in, they go straight past the AT guns, target the Stewart first.
Go for the Ambo, that's the best thing you can do.
They're going to go for the Calliope.
This is maybe a little bit too risky though, but getting the Ambo is going to be excellent manpower bleed. The Calliope probably won't go down here because of the double AT guns. Even then, there's plenty of fuel to rebuild that, so it's not a huge deal. Let's see, no P4s are dead, just pops the Panzer Tactician, fantastic play, blocks it off, but can G.Dot get the attack ground through the smoke? He's moving out in the open. Oh, he missed it!
Just missed that one, and now we have the Panzer IVs tearing through infantry. Do we have anything? No, actually one of the Panzer IVs goes down. Looks like possibly an anti-tank nade there, or an attack round shot. Not sure which one got it, actually. So engagement, though, I think that was a pretty good move by Sotjdador, just to keep delaying, you know, USF from getting anything significant on the field.
So that also got Sotjdador 17 command points, as well as burning his pop cap. So it meant he's actually free for the Tiger Race, where previously he was pop capped out, only had 80, where he requires 26 for it, and now he has the 17. Killed the Ambo, which is a big deal. He's gonna have to rebuild that. I think it got the pack howitzer decrewed, which is more manpower bleed, and the riflemen aren't going to be able to do anything until they get healed up. They're quite low, so that was an excellent move. Could have backfired if he lost 2 P4s, but either way, he's got a lot of resources banked up to get this Tiger Race. Oh, nice rifle nade,
Great
though.
rifle nade there. Here we go, but it's going to be returned with the Calliope shot. It's firing on the retreat path. We see a couple of the Grenadiers go down. Will we see the mortar go down as well? Actually, did they all die there? No. I think that was just the distance lost the Marcus. Manages to keep his Vet 3 mortar and Grenadiers. But again, didn't quite stop Sotjdador from closing in all this territory. 150 VPs left on the table for G.Dot. I'm not feeling too hopeful at this point, I would say.
Well, the AT guns are getting vetted, so that's nice. You definitely want to have the take aim and a bit of a munitions bank as well for the AP ammo, which he doesn't really have at the moment. He has a little bit, but he's going to have to keep some munitions floated up, because he's actually throwing nades as well. He really needs to get a VP though, because a triple cap won't take long to close this game out with only 120 VPs left. So the Calliope, it survived, so it's going to have that next barrage up soon. So Sotjdador has to keep on his toes and just make sure he's always moving quickly and not blobbing up against this Calliope. Other than that, the mortar's, it's Vet 3, so it's still alive. The pack's going to be useless, probably a waste of pop cap if anything else. So just keeping that away from the map and not bleeding manpower on is probably the best thing you can do. But maybe he's worried about a Sherman, M4C Sherman, M4A3 Sherman being built, something like that, or a Jackson.
I don't think he has too much to worry about at this point. I'm just looking really, trying to assess kind of what G.Dot can do here to kind of pull back into this game. 100 VPs. I'm kind of under the impression that maybe if he just spread out quite far, Axis wouldn't be able to deal with that. Actually seen a couple of engagements that G.Dot's nearly won, if only being saved for the stun grenades that the Oster are carrying at the moment. You know, and with the Tiger Race coming in, of course, Panzer Force as well, I think he has some great chances to actually wipe squads if they're having engagements on all 3 sides of the map. You know, I do think he's possibly going to do well in those. Here we see the Calliope. It seems to be firing. I think it's missed its target there completely. Possibly firing on a potential retreat path, but misses everything. I think that's very unfortunate. He could have got away with some wipes there.
I think he was going for the retreat on the Grenadiers, assuming that Sotjdador would have retreated. Riflemen could get wiped here. They're very close to this P4 and the Grenadier squad. Let's see if they go down. It's going to be a close one either way. Oh, they survive for now. I think maybe the best thing G.Dot can do is try and just cap the VPs with smoke grenades, but he's just not winning any of these trades and could even lose a squad here to the G43s at the south. And once again,
that is
barely
very
slips away. It's twice in a row now.
Close though.
All of these rifle squads, look at them, all of them are so low with 1 model each.
Seeing a little problem here in the center. Of course, 2 AT guns have no protection from anything at the moment, leaving the Grenadiers to come in through this side. Calliope takes a little bit of damage from a Faust, but not enough health damage for it to be snared. And things are looking pretty grim at the moment. Do we have the ambulance back up? I don't see an ambulance on the field at the moment, which of course is a huge problem. Panzer IV is in the base. That must have come around from the north side, right at the back. He's trying to get it with the bazookas and the snares. I don't think it's going to be enough. The Calliope is not able to deal with this, and a second Panzer IV comes in. I think he's about to close the game at this point. We'll see if G.Dot throws in the towel or whether he's going to stick it out right to the end.
There's no AT guns left. He killed both of the M1s, so this all-in is completely safe right now. There was a bazooka on the captain, and that was it. So good timing there, and that's the GG.
And what a good game that was. Very good game. 2 very balanced players there. Sotjdador, of course, just showing us something magnificent. I do think, though, that looking back, that, you know, never really seen this kind of thing before, but having the Pershing there, is a psychological advantage because you don't know if your opponent's going to have mines when you're coming up against Pershing or the potential of a Pershing. Because that's not there, I wonder if that's the reason why Sotjdador in the early game is just running around so much, causing so much disruption to, the territory and the map capping.
The
And of
thing is,
course
though,
that.
he did have infantry company, which also has mines. So that was
Oh,
actually
okay.
a
So
threat.
he's okay. It's a weird one though. Those kind of commanders are good to have in there. I mean, if he's got the one with mines in, then I think he's kind of okay on that one. But it's such a safe choice that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, infantry, it's a nice commander, but when you also have tactical support, I don't really see the advantage. The Calliope is pretty much better than the Priest, and other than that, you've got the Strafing Run, which is incredibly strong. The half-track call-in can get some really strong wipes there with a quad upgrade. So I think the Calliope and the commander overall really to completely outshadows infantry. It's kind of strange that he would run that. Running the Pershing commander may have helped him, but either way, Sotjdador had a great opener. He played the early game really well. He did a lot of manpower bleed. He delayed the fuel significantly, and G.Dot couldn't get any tier 4 out. It was if he went tier 4 rather than his Calliope, it would have been 1 Sherman versus 2 P4s, and it would have just failed. So there wasn't really any options left there for G.Dot. So I think Sotjdador definitely outplaying him through and through in this match.